There were 3 women standing on a road out of Moab, and 2 of them were not going to finish the journey. Naomi had gone to that country years before, with a husband and 2 sons, running from a famine at home. She came out of it with none of them. Her husband died. Both of her boys died. What she had left were 2 daughters-in-law, Orpah and Ruth, foreign girls who had married into a family that no longer existed. And Naomi decided to go home to Bethlehem, and both of them set out with her. Hold that picture, because it is the part people skip past. All 3 of them started walking. There was no argument at the gate. Nobody hesitated in the doorway. 2 young widows packed up their lives and went with an old woman toward a country neither of them had ever seen. Then somewhere on that road, Naomi stopped and turned around and told them to go back. She was not being cruel. She was being realistic in the way that grief makes people realistic. She told them there was nothing for them where she was going. No more sons for them to marry, no future she could offer. Only an old woman with an empty name, walking back to a town that would stare at her. And scripture says all 3 of them wept out loud. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law and went back to her people. Ruth clung to her and would not go. Now sit with Orpah for a minute, because almost nobody does. The text does not call her disloyal. It does not say she was faithless, or that she loved Naomi less, or that she chose comfort over covenant. Preachers have said all of that about her for centuries, but the account itself does not. It says she wept, and she kissed her, and she went home, and then she is never mentioned again. She did exactly what Naomi told her to do. And here is the thing that has stayed in that story for 3,000 years. There was no fight. There was no betrayal. There was a real relationship between those 2 women, and it simply ended on a road, with a kiss, and one of them kept walking and one of them did not. Naomi arrived in Bethlehem carrying that absence, and nobody in that town ever asked her about Orpah. Now come off the road and sit down where you actually are tonight, because you have a friend who kissed you and went back, and there was never any fight, and that is exactly what makes this so difficult to hold. If she had wronged you, you would have somewhere to put this. If there had been a betrayal, a lie, one terrible conversation, you would have a shape for it. You could be angry. Anger has edges you can hold on to. Instead, what you have is a slow fade that you cannot point to the beginning of, and a silence you have been interpreting for months. So you went looking for the reason. You have gone back through it, haven't you? That thing you said at the dinner. The time you were distracted when she was going through something. The message you took 2 days to answer, which you have since decided was the moment it turned. You have combed through years of a good friendship hunting for a crime, and the fact that you cannot find one has not stopped you looking. It has only convinced you that the crime must be subtler than you thought, and probably closer to your character. Stop for a moment. That search is not an investigation. That search is grief looking for something to do with itself. There is a particular cruelty in this kind of loss, and it deserves naming, because nobody around you will name it for you. Nobody brings a casserole when a friendship ends. There is no service. Your family does not check on you the following week. You do not get to say her name at work and have people go quiet and gentle. And she is not even gone. She is right there, posting, alive. Well, apparently fine, which means you are grieving a person you could message in 11 seconds. That combination breaks something in the ordinary machinery of mourning. You are allowed to call it a loss. It is one. Something real ended. And be honest about what specifically is gone, because it is not only her. It is the person who knew the whole backstory and never needed the setup. The one who remembered what your mother said in 2019 and why it mattered. Friendships like that hold a version of your own history that nobody else has a copy of. And when the friendship goes, that record goes with it. Part of what you are grieving is a witness. And here is the turn, and it is smaller and more honest than the one you have been hoping for. She may not have left because of you. People fade for reasons that have almost nothing to do with the person they are fading from. A friendship can be quietly expensive to maintain from the other side in ways you never saw. She may have been drowning in something she could not say. Her life may have moved into a shape yours no longer fits, and she may not have had the courage or the vocabulary to say that out loud. So she chose the exit that required no conversation. Orpah went back to her mother's house. That is what the text says. She went back to what she knew. It was not a judgment on Naomi. There is also a version of this you should consider, even though it stings differently. Sometimes a person leaves because staying would have required them to say something honest, and they were not able to. The fade was not a verdict on you. It was an admission about them, delivered in the only language they had, which was silence. Now the hardest part. You may never get the reason, not ever. You may go the whole rest of your life without a single sentence explaining what happened, and you will have to build something that stands up without that missing brick. That sounds unbearable when you first hear it. But look at what you have actually been waiting for. You have been waiting for her to hand you a verdict on yourself. That is what closure has quietly become in your hands. A document she signs saying you were not the problem. And a woman does not need that signature to know the truth about herself, though she can spend years believing she does. You can bless someone and still grieve them. Those two are not in conflict, whatever your heart keeps insisting. There is one more thing in that story worth taking with you. Naomi did not chase Orpah down the road. She let her go, all the way, without one attempt to renegotiate. And then she kept walking with the one who stayed. And what came out of that road was a marriage, a child, and a line that ran all the way to a king and beyond him to Christ himself. Naomi did not know any of that on the road. On the road, she was just an old woman with one daughter-in-law instead of two, telling people to stop calling her Naomi and start calling her bitter. The good things came into a life that was still short one person. You are a daughter of the king, and you are not the sum of who stayed. Some people are given to you for a season and some for a stretch of road, and the ending of a thing is not a review of its worth. Your father has never once left quietly, never faded, never made you comb through a year of memories wondering what you did. There will come a week when her name crosses your mind and you feel something ordinary and warm and unpanicked. Not closure, just an old good thing that no longer needs a verdict attached to it. If a friendship like that is sitting in your chest tonight, say her first name in the comments and one thing you are still thankful for. Not to reopen it, just so it gets said somewhere out loud. By you, at last.